I got a question. What was it like when you first entered the Aspen High School and dealt with the different teachers and stuff there? I mean, that must have been a big difference from Rifle and whatever you're.
Well, in Rifle, I was all by myself. I was the principal, the teacher, the attendance second. There was me. For
Yeah.
$3,500 a year, you can imagine there wasn't a lot of, I did everything. So when I got into Aspen High School, I mean, for some reason there had been a big dust up. When were you guys there? When did you guys start?
I started in 81, 82.
Okay.
Started what?
High school?
Yeah. So it would have been 83. I got 82.
Okay, well,
83.
I was there in 76, right?
Yeah.
So there had been, I don't know why, there was a big dust up and 12 teachers quit. Okay. There's a lot of conflict. The principal was a guy named Walt Way, who I liked quite a bit, quite frankly. But the teachers were, there was conflict between the teacher and the principal. And so Susan Sanchez, David Conero, and me, and 9 other people got hired in 1976. And when I retired in 2003, Susan, David, and me were the only 3 left.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of turnover. In fact, Kendall Evans, you guys might remember him. He was the principal there at the high school for a while. He said, yeah, no house, no husband, I'm out of here. And for a lot of teachers, that was, what it was, okay, come here, ski for a couple of years, have fun, do the wild and crazy things that I want to get married, I want to have children, I want to get on with my life, goodbye. and Aspen had a good reputation. I had the admissions officer of CU tell me, and a bunch of other teachers, we were at a meeting, he said, oh yeah, we were worried about if we're doing the right things and everything. He said, oh yeah, Aspen's solid. Kid graduates from Aspen, he's in.
Wow.
So we had a really good reputation. And, but when I first started, you guys will laugh at this, you only had to take a quarter of American history to graduate. A quarter.
Quarter?
And you had to take a quarter of some other history course. So you took a semester of history. Well, you guys, just guess. Oh yeah, I'm going to teach 200 years and 50 years of history in a quarter. All right. Well, I couldn't. So one of the first things I did was say, hey, we got to teach a year of U.S. history. And that's when the academic, the movement toward more academics started, not just in Aspen High School, but in America,
Yeah.
Hey, our kids can't read, all that stuff. That was kind of that push. And so I started AP. I was the first AP teacher at Aspen High School. And I had 3 guys do it. None of them passed the test. Do you guys know Kurt Brenlinger?
Yeah.
Marsha Brenlinger was his mom, and Pete, Jack. So he was there, and I think the other one was Bart Garten, but I'm not sure. And there's one other kid, I wish I could remember his name. I can't, I'm sorry. But I would meet with them, at their house, and we kind of did it on the side because there's only 3 of them. And only about 50% of people, 54% of people passed the AP exam in history. It's really hard.
Wow.
And so, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But all of them made a 2. So I thought, oh man, I better start learning a little stuff here. So I started going to workshops and, got my act together. And it's not, you just can't teach a teacher, you have to teach the test. So we started AP, and then Mike Christopher, Mike.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know Mike Christopher? Yeah. He started, there's a lot of resistance because some teachers, not all, don't like to be held accountable. Like everybody, not everybody, but people will look at me and say, oh yeah, Mr. AP, how many of your kids passed? Well, none. So but Mike Christopher said, I'll do it. Boom, he just started just like that. Or it's George Wilkes, I'm sorry, Mike came after George Wilkes. It was George Wilkes.
Yes, I remember George Wilkes.
I had both of them, yeah. I have a great Mr. Christopher story.
I do too.
Okay.
Yeah. When John Lennon got assassinated, he knew I was a huge Beatles fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that day on KSPN, they played Beatles songs the entire day long.
I remember that.
And I went into his office and I was listening to the Beatles, and he just said, "Hey, don't tell anybody. You can stay here and listen."
Oh,
I just listened to Beatles the whole day. You know,
that was so cool.
Oh yeah,
I like. He was very good. A nice person.
The cool thing about Mr. Christopher and a few folks, Flynn was one, was that we got to know them in 7th grade and 8th grade. And then when we went to high school, they ended up being in high school. So there was quite a few teachers that kind of spanned that. So Mr. Christopher was one of those. And I had him in 7th grade English, and we were supposed to take the poem Jabberwocky and actually write words to make sense. And my dad and I were like, okay, we were just having so much fun just making this stuff up. So it was like, it got kind of dirty, but 70s Aspen, this up in smoke. It was definitely, so we had fun with it. And so Mr. Christopher in class started to read everybody's interpretations of it. And so he's reading Blake's and reading Missy's and reading so-and-so. And then he comes to read mine, and he's like, and everybody in the classes go, come on, read it. What's going on? And he's like, and he didn't know what to do. So everybody started bunching up paper and started throwing paper wads at him. And I can't remember, I think it was Mr. Roop or someone came walking in, hearing the noise and like, what's going on in here, And Mr. Christopher was like, oh, no, not much and everything. So I kind of set him up with this thing. He ended up reading it.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. Well, that's how XEd started. Because those guys like Flynn and Christopher came up to the high school.